This show is sponsored by Bitonic. Invest in Bitcoin with ease.
Connect the world.
Ian Reis, Flirting with Bitcoin, NextBlock, Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. has been America's political stage since 1790. Do you sometimes think living among monuments and policymakers shapes your outlook on everyday life more than you'd like?
Yes.
Humans have been perfecting the art of cooking meat since the dawn of fire. Is the well-seared steak still your go-to choice for celebrating life?
Yes.
Bernard Cornwell's historical novels take readers from medieval fields to Napoleonic wars. Have you ever imagined yourself stepping into one of his battle scenes sword in hand?
No.
Sparkling water has been around since the 18th century, when scientists first trapped carbon dioxide in liquid. Do you think the fizz itself is half the fun of drinking it?
Yes.
Costa Rica's laid-back Pura Vida vibe has drawn travelers for decades. Do you sometimes daydream about leaving DC behind and living the tropical life?
Yes.
Podcasts exploded in popularity only in the last 20 years, lightning speed compared to other media. Do you feel the hosting with Flirting with Bitcoin connects you with people in a way no other platform can?
Yes.
Drawing inspiration from the historical impact of Gutenberg's printing press, an innovation that redistributes power over information. Do you believe NextBlock's opt-in, decentralized attention marketplace can finally break the modern chaos cartel grip on our digital lives?
Yes.
Do you agree that every rabbit hole you've fallen into, despite costing time and money, has made your journey a bit richer, like chapters in an epic saga?
Yes.
After reading The Remnant, The Parasite and The Masses in December 2021, did you feel like you were knighted as a Bitcoin maxi in a modern-day crusade?
Yes.
Are you Satoshi Nakamoto?
No.
Welcome to the Connect the World weekly podcast. I'm Edward.
And I'm Steph. We are ready to take you with us into the beautiful world of the Lightning Network.
Enjoy the ride. This is episode 131 of Connect the World, and this show is made possible by our friends from Bitonic and BRINGIN. I hope you've seen everybody the nice pre-roll we have, the new one from Bitonic. Thank you guys for the pre-roll. It looks amazing, and thank you also with helping out with our mission to connect the world with Bitcoin through the Lightning Network. And if you also want to help out, and of course you do, with our mission, then follow us on X or on Nostrdam and subscribe at our YouTube channel. And of course, if you have any questions at all, you can head over to one of our Telegram groups and you can ask us anything. And of course, a donation is always welcome.
Connetti il mondo.
So we have Ian on the show. Ian,
Welcome,
how are you
Ian.
doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Great.
We're doing great. We're doing great. The last time we met, it was in Amsterdam. At the Nostrdam conference. You gave a talk, but we also had you and Mandela on the couch with us talking about NextBlock. It was, I think it was around the beginning of the start of the idea to create NextBlock. But I mean, it's only a couple of months ago, but it feels like ages ago, right?
Yeah, it really feels like that. So much things has happened, and Roman was gone. We were taking free time working on other things, and Roman has been to South Africa. Adopting Bitcoin, and he made there a huge amount of videos with amazing questions. The We Ask series, I always like it because it's the same question to a lot of different people from the scene, and it's interesting to hear what they have to say. So if someone is curious, then check our YouTube channel and you can check it for yourself. And thanks, Roman, for making this possible. Because we're no travelers, right? Steph will only you like to ski, right? And
that's correct. But I wanted to ask Ian, have you doubted to visit adopting Bitcoin Cape Town or?
I'm down to go to any adopting anything anywhere. I have not made it to Africa yet, but we did go to adopting Bitcoin El Salvador after Amsterdam.
Great.
So that was fun. And like with NextBlock, we hope to do some more traveling as a company and as a family.
And so maybe Arnhem this year, if there will be an adopting Bitcoin.
I will not commit to Arnhem, but I will say that I will be in Arnhem in the next 24 months.
Ooh. Okay. Then you somehow just committed to go to Arnhem. That's
Okay, I'm writing it down because
I was curious because Costa Rica is your favorite holiday destination, and they have great Bitcoin projects there. Bitcoin Jungle, for instance. Have you ever visited these projects? Have you ever been there?
Actually, no, I have not been to Uvita in particular. I know where it is in Costa Rica, but right around the time that we started getting into Bitcoin, my wife started getting into Bitcoin was when we started going to El Salvador. Yeah. So we went to Costa Rica for our last time, like this time last year. But we used to go every year. But now like I said, with NextBlock, we're trying to spread our wings a little bit and go further afield than just south.
Yeah. I can imagine that. Yeah. What I mean, because the flora and fauna of Costa Rica is like it's
I mean,
you've been there.
It's so beautiful. But what's the difference between Costa Rica and El Salvador? I mean, because it's very close to each other, right?
The difference is, I don't know, 2 decades of civil war.
Okay,
right?
good
so
point.
El Salvador is like coming out of that and rebuilding. Costa Rica had some problems in the past, but pretty much for the last like at least 2 decades, they've been pretty safe and stable. And so Costa Rica has a lot of ecotourism and stuff like that. And El Salvador is also beautiful, and we'll get there as well. I just think it has like a bad rap that is trying to get off its shoulders, for the next probably 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. So it will take some time. Yeah.
Hey, and the last time, you've been, we spoke to you was in Amsterdam. You were with our sessions on the couch, and you had a talk at Nostrdam. Maybe you can tell us in a nutshell what your talk was about, so people that might get interested can look up that episode and rewatch it.
Yeah. So what we went to Bitcoin Amsterdam or Nostrdam to present was this idea of the attention marketplace. So what we're trying to do is build an ad marketplace on Nostr, where advertisers pay people that they want to advertise to directly, basically cutting out the middleman, such as Google or Facebook or whoever. Yeah. Since we've talked, that's grown. The idea has grown bigger, but that's the basic idea. Imagine when you watched an ad on YouTube, some Bitcoin landed in your Lightning wallet. Like fundamentally, that's what we're building. And like you said, there's the episode that we gave a talk about in the Netherlands about this on your guys' show, but also we recorded an episode on our podcast, and pretty much this entire season of our podcast has been about this idea.
Yeah, it's
interesting because you plugged it and now a couple of times, and I also remember the feedback from the audience, the questions that came, we're going into that, of course, but I really think that the feedback and the time that you take to grow this is very important, because then this idea becomes more than just an idea. So I love the questions that we heard there.
Yeah, well, curious. I mean, yeah, let's just dive into it, guys. Yeah, I mean, I see also some questions that I really want to ask Ian. So yeah, let's dive into the 21 minutes, guys. Then we can get them all asked to Ian.
The 21 minutes is brought to you by BRINGIN, the app to reliably sell and spend Bitcoin from any wallet.
As we said, you gave a great lecture on the Nostrdam event, and we talked about NextBlock on the couch in Amsterdam. And it's still in its early days, I guess. But what has been the biggest unexpected challenge you've encountered since launching, since plugging it, also at your own podcast?
That is a great first question. The biggest challenge has been reducing scope. So I'm a software engineer. I've been a software engineer for 20 years. And the idea sounds very small when you, like how I just said it, like you get paid to watch ads and it sounds very simple. Mm-hmm. But the scope of what that can be, like every night, me and my wife, when we talk about it, it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And so what I am trying to constantly do is say, yes, we will do all of that. But what are we doing like first? What are we doing next? And we've had some really good talks about that. And so we have something that we plan on launching in about May this year, which that is not what we were thinking in Amsterdam, right? Reducing scope has been the biggest challenge of growing this idea.
Segment it into parts perhaps, because May, I mean, it's 3 months. That's it makes me very curious about the first step.
So we had a lot of ideas for what we were going to do first, I will say. But what we're launching in May is what we're calling NextBlock Billboard. And so, like I said earlier, NextBlock has a bunch of different like products that we've kind of come up with under this umbrella of NextBlock. And so NextBlock Billboard is a way for us to introduce this idea of getting paid to watch ads without having to build what we want to build, which is an entire social media app that works on that business model, right? So building a social media app, that's time. So what Billboard is basically people will be able to sign up, right? And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to pay them to watch videos about what we want to build. Right. So we're going to dog food the whole idea. Like we're advertising NextBlock. Now we're calling that NextBlock Social. Right. But we're going to advertise NextBlock to you in the manner that we want the whole thing to work. If you like that, then one of the things that they'll learn is in the attention marketplace, you can set your price for your attention. And so if you like the videos that you watched, you can set your price. And we will then put you into the attention marketplace portion of this idea where on the other side of this, we're trying to get sponsors to basically put some ads into this system to show that it works. And so once you set your price and you're in the attention marketplace, you'll fundamentally be able to come back to Billboard at least once a day and maybe watch an ad and earn some sats. And that's just for us to kind of get the flywheel going of this double-sided marketplace of, advertisers and people who want to earn money for their attention.
Yeah. Hey, because at Nostrdam you frame social media as it is now as an addiction machine, and I really like that. I must confess, I deleted my X, not my account, but the X app on my phone and all. I'm so done with it. I have periods, right? So then I'm deleting it, and then I'm starting to get missing it again, and then I'm installing it again, and so now I'm in the phase of deleting everything. And I am aware of the addiction machine. Maybe that is a good way to put it. And you said it's controlled by the chaos cartel. What do you think is the biggest psychological barrier preventing users from reclaiming control over their attention?
Great question. Before I answer that, I want to clarify for everyone, the chaos cartel is an acronym. Chaos cartel stands for Corporations Harvesting Attention on Social Media. So CHAOS, chaos cartel. And the reason why we did that, before I answer your question, is because I wanted to help everyone understand that it doesn't matter if you're talking about TikTok or Twitter or Facebook or whatever comes out next, they all have the same business model. And so as long as the business model is the same, they should fall into that cartel bucket, right? And so with that idea, I think the biggest thing that's preventing people from reclaiming their attention is that the chaos cartel has built a very good machine for what they're trying to do, right? And everyone, even though we're all losing in whatever form we're participating in, whether you're consuming the social media or you're an advertiser on the platform or you're a content creator, we're all losing. Only the chaos cartel is actually winning. And so what we kind of came to the conclusion of is like, to your point, this is a really strong machine. How do we get people to change their behavior? I know, I'll pay you to use my system. Literally every 10 minutes is when you will see every 10 minutes is when you'll see an ad on NextBlock. And so every 10 minutes, I will give you a little bit of Bitcoin so that you're not in their addiction machine and you just stay over here, kind of breaking free of their law.
Yeah. I really like that idea.
Yeah. I mean, that's with NextBlock, you propose a model. Well, we were talking about it, where users set a price for attention. What mechanisms do you see emerging to help users determine a fair price for their attention? Because they're just going to find some price that they are thinking of. What can you tell us about that?
So this is where Billboard comes into play. We don't really know what people already have in their head of what they would be willing to sell. We call it 60 seconds of your time. So the first thing we want to do is like not influence anybody and just get them to set a random price. And I'm sure some people will set like $1, $10, $100, or whatever currency they're operating.
Edward will be the one Bitcoin guy,
Yeah, exactly, right. But as a software engineer, I see NextBlock not so much as the social media company that my wife wants us to build. I see NextBlock more as this data analytics machine where we can do a lot of analysis on what people are saying their price is on and try to nudge everybody to say, hey, you didn't get an ad this block because your price was this high, or no one saw your ads this block because your price is too low. All those systems, obviously, once we have the data, will be very easy to build. But I'm envisioning something like I literally was thinking about this the other night because we need a way to like help people adjust their price. And to me, that is the equivalent of the difficulty adjustment. So basically every 2016 blocks, there'll be like some messaging that goes out to everyone that tells them if they're too high or too low, and prompts them to come in and change it, right? Like, I think that's the best way to do it. We don't want to do it automatically because it's on Nostr, so we can't sign the event for them anyway. Like, they have to change it and sign the event. Yeah. So if they don't click the button to come in and change it, like, their price stays as it is. But the difficulty adjustment is more for the advertisers, because once everyone makes those changes to their prices, then we show that data to the advertisers and say, hey, the price of attention went up or down in the last difficulty adjustment.
So you need to adjust yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we believe that a marketplace that operates like that, it will eventually find the greatest set of market clearing prices. And
as advertiser, you have more control because the clicks are also on keywords, for example, on Google. Are also different at a moment of time. Sometimes they're more expensive than other times, but you can't influence it. And I think this takes it all on a different level, because you really can choose for yourself what you want, and and it's more in balance. I guess.
Yeah. The bigger thing for the advertisers is the fact that after a person has watched their ad, they get to decide if they want to opt out of that ad or opt out of that brand altogether. So again, over time, brands will develop this type of insight that says, okay, on this NextBlock platform, X percentage of people no longer want to watch that particular ad I put out. Also, X percentage of people don't want to even hear from me. And that sounds bad in a way, but in another way, it's good, because now you're not going to waste advertising dollars on people who signal, I don't care how much money you offer me. I'm not interested. So it works for advertisers in a way that I think, we have someone on our team that's been talking to advertisers and, starting the process of, it's not selling ads, but these sponsorships for Billboard. And that is the most intriguing thing that they're always like, wait, tell me more about that. So I think that advertisers want something different, but like I said, they're all dealing with the chaos cartel, and it doesn't really matter which one you're talking to. They all have the same like, well, kind of just give me more money and it'll just work out kind of model. Whereas for us, literally every ad we show, there's a receipt because we paid 1 Bitcoin to watch it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And some users may want to game the system. I mean, that's normal, I would say, by setting a very high attention prices or automating ad watching. How does NextBlock plan to prevent abuse while keeping the market decentralized? Because that's very difficult to combine, I can imagine.
So this is probably the biggest part of the idea, I think, of the attention marketplace. So this has been very hard for us to do in talking very generically about what we're trying to do. But the attention marketplace is NextBlock's implementation of what we're trying to do, right? But in theory, you could be called Previous Block and you could build your own version with your own controls or whatever, but we'll be pulling the ads from the Nostr network, right? So we're sharing the ads. And so for NextBlock, what we've chosen to do is, the first one is everyone is required to attach a Strike account. This is how we're going to pay you. So we know that we're paying a real person. We're not paying random Lightning addresses. We've thought around this as much as we can. And it has to be, at the moment, when we first launch, it's going to have to be Strike. But the other thing is that you can only have one WebSocket connection open to us at a time.
Okay.
So if you're somebody who has like multiple machines running and you think you're going to scam like that, no, every time you open a new connection, we drop all your other ones. And, that's another way to prevent it. But the biggest way to truly prevent it is, from people trying to like drain, advertiser dollars, is that advertisers actually get control of a lot. So an advertiser could say, I only want to show this ad once to someone ever, right? And it's not once to a Nostr address, it's once to a NextBlock account. And so at NextBlock, you can attach whatever Nostr accounts you want. We're going to let people create new ones. We're going to let people bring in their other ones with just adding their NSEC. But for the most part, because the payment for watching the ad is tied to your Strike account, and you can only have one Strike account in the system at a time, it becomes very challenging for someone to watch multiple ads and then get paid out multiple times for watching things if the advertiser themselves said, only show it to one unique Strike account ever. And we'll give them those controls plus many more that I have already on my roadmap of all the things that I want to build for them, because they're the things that we need to build so that I can show you the ads about NextBlock when you come to Billboard. So everything we're doing for Billboard is to dog food what we plan on giving to advertisers for control.
Yeah, the biggest platforms today rely, of course, on surveillance capitalism, where advertisers get detailed user profiles, of course, to gain more success with their ads. If NextBlock allows users to sell their data voluntarily, how do you see advertisers adjusting to this shift in paradigm?
Right. So advertisers right now, this goes back to the chaos cartel concept, right? So the chaos cartel, which extends past the social media company. This goes back to cable. This goes back to television. This goes back to radio. They've convinced brands that demographic data is valuable. And that's what you're buying from them in order to advertise to people. But on NextBlock, we've inverted that whole idea. And we're saying, no, demographic data is technically worthless. You want to know who's ever interested in your product. The demographic data helps you make an educated guess. But if a 50-year-old guy wants to buy, teenage Japanese anime, like if you show him a commercial for your movie and he's like, yeah, I'm interested, like he would have never been targeted via demographic data. Although I don't know, 50-year-old guys watching anime, that might actually be the right demographic. But you know what I'm saying? Like, so they've been sold this idea that like, this is how you do it. And NextBlock, we're trying to do everything in the inverted, we'll call it the Bitcoin standard way of advertising. And so advertisers, we are trying to teach them that demographic data is fiat, right? Like that's fiat. It's real, but the way that it was acquired it's kind of sketchy, right? So in our system, you are literally trying to find out who's interested in your product, not letting someone tell you to assume that this group of people is interested in your product.
No, and that's way more valuable at the end, right? So
and over time, as you run, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and over time, if you run more than one ad campaign, you'll get a very refined list of people that are actually interested in what your brand is trying to promote. And we'll build tools and services for them to try to specifically target those people with additional, either marketing, or you can do outreach to them and all kinds of stuff. We have a big roadmap of ideas, which is why I said
that's interesting. Yeah,
it keeps growing as we talk about it on the couch every night.
It's a rabbit hole on itself, right? So, hey, and the thing is that many users nowadays are accustomed to free and centralized social media. I mean, that's just how things go nowadays. How do you plan to onboard mainstream users who aren't ideologically aligned with Bitcoin and Nostr? I mean, Nostr is still also in a big niche, obviously. So, might be difficult, or maybe it's a good thing for you because you're just a startup getting started, and it's easier to onboard like 50,000 people than 3 billion, for instance.
So I have a line that I've been saying my whole life that I've been involved in writing software. I don't want the whole internet. I just want 1%.
Yeah.
Like I'll build a very strong company with 1% of the internet, right? But that being said, one of the things that we're trying to do, specifically even with the name and the branding and everything about NextBlock, is that unless I tell you the word Bitcoin or Nostr, people shouldn't know that that's what's going on, especially when they're onboarding in the beginning. We don't want to make this feel like it's different in any way, except for the fact that when you watch an ad, some number that's called your balance goes up. Right? As long as it all feels the same, except I'm like gaining value as I sit on your platform instead of, TikTok just scrolling in the void. We think that will change the dopamine drip to where they question the Chaos Cartel's business model, saying, okay, I spend most of my time over there, but they don't give me anything, and they have billions of dollars. These guys have no money. They just started, and they're giving me money every 10 minutes. How is this possible, right? It sounds like a kind of rug pulley thing that might be happening, but the money is coming from the advertisers, not us. And so if the advertisers go away, there's no more money, and no one sees ad, and they get a free platform at that point. Obviously, we'll have to figure out how to pay the bills. But the idea is that we believe that both sides, sellers and buyers, will keep each other there, so that the flywheel gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And there are a decent number of companies. Let's use a great example, like one of Jack Dorsey's companies, like what's the BitKey, right?
BitKey, yeah.
So just calling it out here, Jack could throw like $1 million worth of advertising into NextBlock. And if we only have 50,000 people, everyone's going to see BitKey ads forever, pretty much, until more people come, right? So like the bang for your buck is going to be higher on NextBlock in the beginning anyway. And it's a self-selected group of people that either you know about what NextBlock is, and so you know that it's Bitcoin and Nostr, and so you want to use it for that reason, or you're someone who's like, I want to try something other than the Chaos Cartel. And those people, this is my wife's thesis on what we're building, is that those people are currently the TikTok refugees, right? TikTok almost got banned, and then they all ran to another thing, right? So maybe our thing is the thing they run to when it actually gets banned, right? But the idea is that unless they have a different business model, the incentive structure built on top of that business model is all the same.
Yeah. Hey, could NextBlock also function as a broader decentralized marketplace beyond ads? For example, as a peer-to-peer content promotion network, for example?
Yes. So that is
talking about your scope, right?
This is the scope, right? It's like, so, when we say advertisers, it sounds like we're saying brands. It sounds like we're talking about Nike and McDonald's or whatever. But we're really talking about podcasters. We're really talking about content creators that are struggling on the current platforms because, especially in the Bitcoin realm, because they don't let that content surface. No, there's an algorithm. So on NextBlock, because we're built on Nostr, there's no algorithm. But what we do have is if you make a really good clip of your podcast and you see it gets a lot of zaps when you post it, you could take those zaps and buy an ad, right? Because Nostr is time sensitive. Like when you post it, there's like another maybe hour to 2 hour window, and then it's basically gone. With so like I said, the attention marketplace is NextBlock's implementation. In the code, like what I call it is promoted note network. And so as long as you have content on Nostr that you want to promote to the entire Nostr network, that's what the attention marketplace is for.
Yeah. And I heard a TikTok, so I wanted to just ask you one more question. I have plenty of, but you mentioned in your talk that Latin America could be an important market. Why do you think that NextBlock's model might be particularly appealing there? I mean, in my opinion, it can be everywhere, but you specifically targeted Latin America in that talk. Why was that?
So someone brought this to my attention where they said, all marketing, all attention control goes through the West, right? It all goes through America. And then from there, it gets promoted out into the world. With Nostr as the base technology, like I said, anyone could create another version of this previous block. Someone could spin this up in Latin America, and then the money doesn't have to leave Latin America to do the promotion. It stays in that economy. And NextBlock can just pull those ads in and support a Latin American business without really being involved in any of their business.
Yeah. Interesting.
True. Yeah.
Connect the build.
Yeah, it's very interesting, Ian. And we had talking about your scope. I can imagine the struggle you guys have in keeping it dense and you just have to start, man. start.
No, that's right.
Very
because
small,
the project,
and then,
the idea is so big.
And like I said, it kept growing and growing and growing. And then one night I was sitting there putting my kid to bed, and the idea of Billboard popped in my head, and I was like, we can do that in like 4 months. And we woke up the next morning, we contacted our designers, and we were like, stop what you're doing. We're working on this. And they whipped up some screens, and we started iterating on that. And now that's what we're building.
Yeah, cool, man.
Great.
Very cool. So thanks for making time to talk about the NextBlock. And I can imagine that there are a lot of things that going through your mind every day, building it. And hey, we have still one question left for you, but it is one you may choose yourself. We pre-recorded a question for Pierre Corbin. He is from Flash, and Scott Wolf, and he's from the Federation of Circular Bitcoin Economy. So both very interesting, but you only may choose one of them.
Well, I feel like I don't know, but I know Scott. Like I think he's listened to my podcast and he's commented on some stuff. So Scott it is.
Okay, let's go for
Here
Scott.
he comes.
Hello, my name is Scott Wolf with the Federation of Bitcoin Circular Economies. This is my question. How do you think that Bitcoin can improve the lives of individuals, groups, and the entire community in which you reside?
Okay. Well, I live in Washington, D.C. So within the community that I reside, this has actually been something that's been happening very recently. So I live in the capital of America, a lot of federal workers, and Donald Trump / Elon Musk just offered them a buyout / kind of told them you're probably getting fired anyway. So And so these are some of my friends and former coworkers, and it's like, well, what do you do, right? And what my wife and I have been trying to explain to them is, okay, well, you take your retirement out and you put it in Bitcoin. That's what you do. Federal workers cannot move their retirement account to like a personal managed IRA or anything like that. Like you don't get to do anything with it until you actually retire. And we found this out when my wife tried to move her retirement account to Unchained, right? And so it was like, oh, that sucks. You should quit. And so when this letter came through, we just kind of looked at each other and we're like, well, if you quit, like you could just take your retirement out and put it into Bitcoin. And then as long as you can make it past one halving, like that money that you work for.
Then it is actually your retirement.
Actually your money now, right? And so that's what we've been telling a lot of people that we know to do. And some people are trying to do that. Some people are very anti like Bitcoin, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But they also see the life that we're living, where I don't work. I just quit my job last May, and my wife is about to quit her job, and we're doing NextBlock full time. And they're like, "How are you doing that?" And we just keep telling them, "Mr. Bitcoin is funding our startup." Like, I don't know how to tell you. Like, we feel like we can do this, and so I think a lot of people don't really have a plan. They're just kind of working day to day, and they're like, eventually this will all work out. But once you kind of push your, whatever you want to call it, mental security blanket into Bitcoin, you kind of have to come up with a plan or you're going to spend it all. So our plan is NextBlock. But I think a lot of people, especially in the DMV, when all the stuff that's happened over the last 2 weeks, realized they didn't really have a plan. They were just living high on
the system. And the system just keeps going.
So that's how I think it could help here. I know there's some Bitcoiners here, so they're probably not really, they don't need to hear that. But for anybody who's not a Bitcoiner in Washington, D.C. right now, Bitcoin is like, it is the way to make this all make sense of what's going to happen over the next 1 to 3 to probably 8 years. And if you don't have Bitcoin, you probably won't be able to live in Washington, D.C.
You're screwed. Cool. Hey, thanks again, Ian. Where can people follow you, man? Where can people follow everything you guys do on NextBlock? You're very active on Nostr, obviously. But maybe you can show every link to every project.
Sure. So first, we have a podcast. We started with Flirting with Bitcoin. So that is flirtingwithbitcoin.com. That has basically become the official mouthpiece of NextBlock. We talk about all the things we're doing and all that fun stuff there. If you want to learn more about NextBlock, the company, you can go to joinnextblock.com, or another domain I just bought because I liked it, which is therevolutionwillbeadvertised.com. Whichever one you want, they both go to the same place.
Great.
And then on Nostr, I'm literally just Ian, just IAN did I switch my NIP5? No, I'm Ian at flirtingwithbitcoin.com. So that's where you can find
we
it.
would check it.
Cool.
Thanks again. And thanks everybody for listening in. And of course, thanks to everyone helping to connect the world with us. So if you like our content, then please support us in our mission. Visit our website, connecttheworld.live, where you can also make a donation. And subscribe, like, and share our content on your favorite platform. So remember, we need you to complete our mission, connect the world. So keep those nodes running, sats flowing, and check out NextBlock in May. And see you all next week on the same Lightning channel. Adios.
Thank you very much, Ian.
Bye-bye, man.
Bye, guys.